Hello, everyone. Mike Arnold here, co-founder of Path Trading Partners, along with Bob Iacchino. Gamma squeeze to end all gamma squeezes. Wow, I think this is the most coordinated and one of the biggest ones I've seen in all the time I've followed Tesla. So we originally had, and this is not a ladder attack. Ladders attacks don't work, but they actually laddered. And when I say they, there's some pretty hefty option buying in big chunks, which either was coordinated or somebody with a very, very large account. In a nutshell, 750, 755, 760s, 765, 770s. 765s to a tune of 120,000, 770s to 174,000, 775s to 76,000. This was some massive buying. So let's look at the price action. We already had on that 745.47 level. We gap down just above it, spike just below it, retested that area. Let me zoom in. So those are the key levels we identified yesterday. Then we had this mini. This was a valid mini double bottom right here, which I still had on my chart because that was a really nice, once it started filling the gap fill. Also remember, you do from the closing price, you get the close above the 62.5, and you start targeting the gap fill. And we had massive volume here. Let me see if I can load that up. I mean, this was the first clue, this little ramp off the bottom, and options started going off. Then there's a couple big blocks, and then we just kicked into high gear with the volume. When you see a huge spike like this is closer to the end of a move, by the way, than the beginning of a move. So that's when, time to move up the stops, and especially watch for a pausing area, which definitely paused. Just wanted to point that out. Let me hide that again. So that was the gap fill, and we already had key levels identified. But once the 770s and 775 started going off, before that we had, here are our levels. We had the let me take these ones off. These just blew through. But then we had 763, and then we had this other, the key, remember the high that I've talked about many times. Let's see what exactly it was. The 764, this high back from September 8th. We had 764.45 was the next, of course, target area just from that high. And you could have also started ratcheting up your intraday harmonics. So that was a really nice pausing bar right here. Just making sure I get the right bar. Giving me a cluster at 768 area, 768, 768.23. And then you can just keep, that was another pausing bar. I'm not even going to switch to the 15-minute. We paused here. We had this prior level on the 771. The last level I used was right here, going into the close to see, and we had 775.42, and I was just targeting 775 because of all the strike prices there, all the options that went off at that strike, to see if they could get it there or not. But this was just one. Oh, by the way, this was a valid double top. But remember, I've talked about these on the momentum moves. Just use these kind of things to raise your stop. Do not take these doubles against momentum moves. And you can always use the targets to find a level to add on. So that's something you don't want to just go against. Just wanted to reiterate that for anybody else. So let's take a look at that daily chart. Let me remove these levels. We're going to reassess everything because you see, I just wanted to clean up that chart a bit. you can see these levels just went through, and then if we did get through that 775, but we started running out of time. My ultimate target, if we were going to go up, was the upper channel at like the 780 area, but we ran out of time in the day. So that's about it. Let's, this kind of makes me wonder if I know what Tesla's supposed to roll out their full beta tomorrow. I guess somebody can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. We also have, the agencies chiming in on that. So I'm almost wondering, with this kind of really aggressive option gamma play, if there could be potentially bad news dropping this weekend or sometime soon for Tesla, because this really, and I really pay attention to these when we ramp up to see if we're going to come out with it. Either happens right after bad news or sometimes right before bad news. I know we're going into the quarter end, so we'll have to see how that fares also. Next week, we can still use these targets. We have 778 to 780 to the upside. Then we have a major cluster area at 792. Then above that, these are just the major levels. We're at 811. So those are all your major levels. But I mean, after today, you starting on Monday, you have about 784 also as the top of the channel line. If any bad news drops over this weekend, we could see a gap down, though. My next major area, if nothing drops, is not necessarily for Monday, but this 791, 792 area. That's my next major target to the upside. Taking a look, I mean, we've outpaced some of these levels pretty severely. Just trying to find what to watch. So, see, with this kind of momentum going into the close, 770 is probably first thing Monday, and then the best price action support ledge would be about 767 area, right in here with the bottom of the 15-minute rotation zone. First pullback, and then you have the 1 hour coming in about 766. So 766 to 767 is my first key area of support on a pullback. Then I'm definitely going to 760, this key area, which was this prior high, closing just above it on this bar. We had some significance there. And then below that, about 755. And that 760, you're closing in with the 4-hour rotation zone. So that's going to be my first pullback target. Let's see. I mean, there's not much to talk about with this kind of move. The daily rotation zone, let's see, all the way back at about 755. So that's going to reinforce that 755 level. And then the bottom, I'd be watching about 740. So on some bad news, if something really came out, 740 to 730 would be the next level off the weekly. And then your major support for next week coming in about 697 to 700. So those are all your support levels. I mean, you can see the scope of that upward move. That was pretty substantial, getting near to that upper channel line. Not quite there. It just looks, because of the wide nature of candles, it looks like it's touching it, but it's really not. It's still just shy of it. I don't really have much else to say, just at that weekly, you still have this price projection lower and the rising weekly rotation zone, 695 to 700. Key support, just double checking to see if I missed anything. Doesn't look like it. So first thing, well, of course, I'm going to monitor the news this weekend to see if anything comes out of Tesla. But let's see if we get some follow through on Monday. I mean, I want to see how it reacts at the top of this channel line. We get through it then we're to 691. And I hope everyone has a great weekend. By the way, we still have waning momentum on this move up. So this, we definitely have a daily divergence setup. No weekly divergence setup, just a first daily divergence setup. So we'll see if that evolves into more than one divergence if we do get a pullback, and then make another push higher if we get that dreaded triple divergence pullback. And we'll talk to everyone later. Bye for now.